Hello, 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 and welcome to 20 Years with a Narcissist. I'm your host, Shakira, and I would like to start with words of affirmations. You are whole, you are complete, you are enough. You are strong, you are brave, you are resilient, you are guided, you are protected, and you are safe. And this here is a safe space. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. If this is your first time listening, welcome. This podcast was created to bring awareness to toxic and narcissistic relationships, help you navigate them, and ultimately help you heal. In this week's episode, when they come back, hoovering, breadcrumbing, and why the contact starts again. So we just went over this, so I'm staying on track. We recently talked about it. The relationship has ended, and you're finally starting to get back to your peace. You're not crying as much. You're sleeping a little better. You're not checking your phone every 5 minutes. You're finally starting to feel like yourself again, right? And then ding or ring or light up, phone lights up. Hey, stranger, I was just thinking about you. Or how have you been? Or I had a dream about you last night. One of my narcs told me that I had a dream about you. You was messing with somebody else and I was pissed. But you discarded me like trash. How are you upset? Make it make sense. Or maybe it's something that seems completely innocent. Did you ever find that paperwork? What paperwork, fool? Leave me alone. I found some of your stuff. Tell, tell the kids I said hello. As if they all don't have phones and you can't tell me yourself. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. And suddenly all those emotions you thought you had under control come rushing back. Your heart starts beating differently. Your mind starts racing. And now you're wondering, why are they contacting me, right? Did they miss me? Do they finally realize what they lost? Have they changed? You just start to ruminate or think about all the things that, or the reasons why you think they're contacting you. Should I? And then you ultimately ask yourself, should I respond? So today we're talking about what can happen when someone from an unhealthy or toxic relationship starts trying to re-enter your life. We're talking about hoovering, right? And also breadcrumbing. We're talking about those little messages, phone calls, social media likes, unexpected check ins, and seemingly innocent reasons to contact you. Because why are you on my line? And most importantly, we're talking about how to recognize what's happening before one little message pulls you back into a cycle you've been working so hard to escape. Now, I want to make something very clear before we get into the conversation. Not every person who reaches back out after a breakup is a narcissist. They not. And not every text message is manipulation. It isn't. Sometimes people genuinely miss each other. Sometimes people reflect, sometimes people sincerely apologize. That's why I don't want you to be obsessing over trying to diagnose somebody. I want you to pay attention to the patterns because patterns will tell you much more than one text message ever will. And that brings me to the first thing I want you to understand. Contact is not the same thing as change. Somebody contacting you does not automatically mean they've changed. Somebody missing you does not automatically mean that they've changed. And somebody apologizing to you, "Oh, I'm so sorry, baby. I ain't mean it." That don't mean they changed. And somebody wanting access to you again definitely does not automatically mean that they've changed. Change is evidence, proof to back up the claim of having changed. Change has consistency, not for a week or two or a month or two, but consistency over time. Change has accountability, and change continues even when you don't immediately reward it, right? So today we're going to learn how to tell the difference. So what is hoovering? I've discussed it in previous episode, but we're going to go back over it. The term hoovering is often used to describe attempts to pull somebody back into contact or into a relationship when distance has been created. Of course, the name derived from a vacuum cleaner because it sucks things into it, right? Something or someone is trying to suck you back in. And sometimes that attempt is obvious. I miss you. I want you back. Nobody understands me the way that you do. But sometimes it's a little more subtle, right? Or a lot more subtle if you're, not in the know. They may send you a funny video, like an old picture, wish you happy birthday, ask a question they could have easily answered themselves, send a message and then say, oops, wrong person, for real. And you sitting there thinking, was it really an accident? Oh, you meant to send that. You know what I mean? Realizing your name don't line up or sound like nobody else is in this phone. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you meant it, maybe they didn't. But again, don't get stuck trying to determine what's happening in somebody else's mind. Look at the pattern. What happens after you respond? That's where you often get your answer. So it's breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is a little different, right? Imagine somebody dropping tiny pieces of bread along a trail, like for a bird or a rat, a mouse, some type of lower mammal. They give you just enough attention to keep you following. They don't necessarily offer commitment. They don't necessarily repair the relationship in any way. They don't necessarily give you consistency. They simply give you little moments of attention. A text today and then silence for 5 days. A compliment. Oh, honey, you're so beautiful. And then nothing. You just don't hear it for a time, right? A late night phone call if y'all don't live together. Then they disappear again, right? A heart emoji under your picture, but then there's no real conversation. And those little crumbs can keep you emotionally attached because every interaction gives you a tiny dose of hope. You start thinking, maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe they're finally changing. Maybe they're realizing what they lost. But then, nothing. Right? They're good at disappearing, ain't they? The ones that don't live with you, that can come and go how they please, or sometimes they live with you too. They know how to disappear, okay? And now you just waiting again. Now you just sitting there waiting. Like, well, when they gonna text me again? Is it gonna hurt one of my other pictures on my page? Why does this work so well? Because you have history. That is very important when it comes to the hoovering and the breadcrumbing. A stranger texting you, I miss you, probably isn't going to have the same emotional impact somebody you love for years saying it would, right? You looking at the phone like, you miss me. Fool, I don't even know you. But if you have history, it's going to hit different, right? So there's history attached to those words. There are memories. Children may be involved, like in my case. You got the holidays and vacations, inside jokes that only y'all shared. Good times, bad times, dreams, plans. And when that person contacts you, sometimes you're not responding only to the message you're seeing today. You're responding to 20 years of memories attached to the person who sent it to you, right? Because people just think we're so dumb. Like, how did you fall for that? Because of the history. And I understand that. When you spent a significant part of your life with somebody, you don't erase those memories because the relationship ended. It don't just disappear. That's why healing requires more than simply saying, I'm done. Okay, this is over. Because you know how many times I said that and it wasn't over? Your emotions may need time to catch up with the decision that your mind made. Heart and the mind, sometimes they be segregated. Here's a relatable example. I miss my family. Let's say you separated from your partner. You've been apart for 3 months. Things have finally calmed down. Then one night you receive, I've been thinking a lot lately. I miss my family. I messed everything up. Now imagine how powerful that can feel from somebody you 10 years in, 3 kids, and he's like, all right, I messed everything up. I'm sorry. Because maybe that's what you wanted to hear for years. You wanted them to appreciate the family that y'all created together. You wanted them to recognize what they were doing and why you left or not in the picture currently. You wanted accountability. So you respond, what you mean? And now the door is open. They tell you I, I've been miserable. Like, they've been thinking about everything and that they've changed. They've realized you were the best thing that ever happened to them. And you think, finally, at least that's how I felt. That's definitely how, when I moved to Florida on that fool, and he called me and told me he was on his way to come get his family. But here's the question you got to ask. What's actually different? Because what? Nothing different. Not what did they say, not what did they do, drove all the way 16 hours. Did they take responsibility without blaming you? Did they seek appropriate help if needed? And 9 times out of 10, they need help. Did they respect your boundaries? Did their behavior change consistently? Or did they simply become uncomfortable when they lost access to you? So now they're doing any and everything that they can to get you back. Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. Another example, the innocent sex. You haven't heard from them in weeks. Then suddenly, hey, do you remember the name of that restaurant we went to in Miami? Say what? You think it to yourself. Why are you asking me as if Google doesn't exist? Right? Like what? Look it up. But you answer anyway. It was such and such. They respond, that's right. That was such a good trip. Now you reminiscing. Now y'all talking about the trip and how much of a good trip it was. Then we really did have some good times, didn't we? Now you're reciprocating it. Look how quickly that conversation changed. You went from answering a question about a restaurant to discussing a relationship. This is why boundaries are important, because sometimes you don't realize you're emotionally re-entering the relationship until you're already halfway through the conversation. Like, oh snap, this fool done got you. Okay? So, and then there's social media. This one is big because social media is the end all be all right about now. Okay, they don't text you, they don't call you, they simply start appearing. They watch your stories. Some of these platforms will tell you so and so watched looked at your page today. Then they like a picture, and they like the picture from 10 weeks ago. Then another one. Then they comment looking good if it's a recent one where they ain't seen you in a minute. They see you looking all good, snackalicious, and maybe you haven't heard from this person in months. Now you're wondering, why are they watching me? What you want now? And this is where I want you to be careful, because you can spend an incredible amount of emotional energy trying to interpret social media behavior. Why did they like that picture? Why did they watch my story at 2 a.m. in the morning? Why are they following me again? Why did they unfollow me? All of a sudden, they just decided to unfollow you. Like, why did they post that quote? Was that about me? Stop. I need you to stop doing this. You cannot build your healing around somebody else's social media activity. Who cares? And if you do care, ask yourself a better question. What happens to me when I see it? Does it disrupt your peace? Does it make you obsess? Does it make you go check on that? You on a page looking like, what he doing? What he got? New girl, something he want me to see? What he want? Why he bothering me? Does it reopen emotional wounds? Then you may need a digital boundary. Yeah, because that's the thing. You mute them, you restrict them, unfollow their asses, block them if it's appropriate. Not as a punishment, like, yeah, now take that. Because I don't get into the blocking and all that. I really don't. But sometimes you gotta do it as protection for your peace. Because I did have to do it once or twice. Definitely once. Now, if you can see that they simple asses is stalking your page and you're unbothered, then just laugh at them and keep it moving. Just don't take the bait. But the most dangerous part about it all, y'all, is hope. Because hope is so beautiful, but misplaced hope can keep you stuck. You may not be hoping for the relationship you actually had. You may just be hoping for a relationship you always wanted. I wanted to become that. So they reaching out, hopefully it's going to be that now. But it's a huge difference between the two. Sometimes we're not going back to the person. We're going back to the potential of what the relationship could be. We're thinking maybe this time they'll communicate properly or respectfully. Maybe this time they'll appreciate me. Maybe this time they'll respect my boundaries. Maybe this time we finally have the relationship I always wanted. And I want you to ask yourself, How many times have I already hoped for this? Hope for this time? 20 years? I lost count. Because eventually you have to evaluate the relationship based on its pattern and not its potential. How do you know whether someone has really changed though, right? Let's talk about this because people do change. It can happen. I hear people say, "Oh no, people don't change." No, they can. I don't want to teach you that everybody is hopeless. People can grow. People can learn. People can take accountability. I know because I'm doing it. Right? I'm 100% transforming into a better version of myself. But genuine change usually looks very different from emotional promises. Here are some things I want you to watch for. Number one, they take responsibility without immediately blaming you. There's a difference between I hurt you, I understand what I did, and I'm working on changing it. And I know I hurt you, but you did stuff too. The word but can erase everything that became before it. I know I hurt you, but the whole apology goes out the window. Number two, they respect your boundaries. This is huge. If somebody says they've changed and you say, well, I'm not quite ready to talk yet, I'm just not there. What happens when you say that? Do they say, I understand, I'll respect that? Or do they call 15 times in a row? Do they send messages through other friends like, oh, she's talking about she ain't ready to talk? Hey, yo, go ask her. Do they show up unexpectedly? They just at your job, at different places they know you frequent. Do they guilt you when they do run into you? Do they say, wow, I guess you never loved me, huh? Change respects boundaries. And if they try and find every way to get around it, manipulation tries to get around those boundaries. Be mindful. Number three, change isn't dependent on getting you back. Real growth benefits that person whether you return or not. If the entire transformation disappears the moment you say, I'm still not coming back, then ain't a damn thing changed. So pay attention, okay? Number four, time supports their words. Anybody can behave differently for a week. You can put on a mask and keep a front up for a week. Oh, for sure. But consistency tells the real story. So, what do you do when the message comes? I want to give you something practical. Before responding, use what I call the pause. Letter P, pause before answering. You do not have to respond immediately. A, message is not an emergency just because it appears on your phone. A, ask yourself what you're feeling. That's what A was. Ask yourself what you're feeling. P, pause. A, ask yourself, how are they behaving? How do you feel? Are you excited, afraid, angry, hopeful, triggered? Right? Name the emotion before acting from it. You understand the pattern. Has this happened before? What happened the last time you responded? Did the conversation lead to peace or did it restart confusion? S, set the boundary you actually need. Maybe there's no response. Maybe it's, please only contact me regarding children. I definitely got to a point with my 20-year narc because we do have children together. I have to communicate with each other. If it ain't about the kids, I don't want to hear about it. Maybe it's, I'm not available for this conversation. Maybe it's limiting communication to a particular method when you must stay in contact. Like, just only text me. Don't call me because I don't want to hear your voice. E, evaluate afterward. How did the interaction make you feel? Are you calm, clear, or anxious and confused? Your nervous system can give you useful information, so listen to it. When you have children together, like me and my narc does, now this deserves its own conversation though, because no contact isn't realistic for everybody. So if you do have kids or some type of, something that's keeping y'all tied to each other, when you share children, you may have to communicate when so the goal may not be no contact. The goal may be limited, structured contact, right? Keep communication focused. Child related, schedule related, necessary. You do not have to respond to every emotional invitation hidden inside a practical conversation. Okay? Just because they said something don't mean you gotta respond to something. I got real good at that one, y'all. So for example, I'll pick up the kids at 6. By the way, I've really been thinking about us lately. And you just simply respond, 6 works. Okay. And that's it. You don't have to attend every emotional conversation you're invited. So you don't have to respond to that second part of that message. Act like you ain't even see it. And if communication with a former partner is particularly difficult or concerning, professional guidance may help you establish an appropriate arrangement for your situation. So when you're tempted to respond, here's something I want you to try. Write the response, but don't send it. Okay? Put it in your notes. Wait. Give yourself 30 minutes, an hour. Maybe you need to wait overnight. Let me sleep on it. You know what I mean? When the circumstances allow, then you make a decision to respond. Read it again. Ask, what outcome am I hoping this message creates? Am I hoping that they'll apologize? Am I hoping they'll say they miss me? Am I hoping they'll ask me to come back? Am I trying to prove something? Am I trying to hurt them? Am I lonely? When I tell y'all I felt all of those things, like all of it, okay? That one question can reveal so much. So ask yourself before responding. Healing means learning to tolerate the silence. This is something we don't talk about enough. When chaos has been normal for so long, peace can initially feel strange. Silence can feel uncomfortable. You're used to the calls, the 15 calls in a row, the arguments, him texting you, cussing you out, the making up, the breaking up, the emotional highs, the lows. Then suddenly, nothing? All of that goes away? You don't even know how to act. You don't even know what to do with yourself now. Oh, and part of you may interpret the absence of chaos as emptiness. Now you feel empty. Now you feel lonely and alone. But what if it's not emptiness? What if it's peace? You're so unfamiliar with peace that when you get it, it's like, what is this? This quietness is peace. Where you get to pour into you, get to know you. What do you like? What do you want? Where do you want to go? Where are you when you're not managing somebody else's emotions? That's where healing gets exciting. Because wait, it's about me. Because you're not only recovering from a relationship, you're rediscovering yourself. It's the best thing on the planet. I love it here. So, your reflection exercise. I want you to take your journal and answer these questions. Number one, when this person contacts me, what emotion comes up first? What am I feeling? And I know I asked this in a previous episode, but I told y'all I'm going to keep reiterating until y'all get it. What am I secretly hoping will happen when I respond? That's the second question. Number three, has responding historically brought me clarity or confusion? And number four, what boundary will protect my peace right now? And finally, number five, if I knew for certain this person would never change, what decision would I make for myself? Are you going back anyway because of the history? Or are you like, yeah, nah, I'm good? Sit with that one for a minute though. Because sometimes we're not stuck because we don't know what happened. We're stuck because we're still waiting for a different ending. I ain't like the way that ended this time. So I'm waiting for him to ask for me back so I can make it end differently if it has to end. But I want to talk directly to somebody today. Maybe your phone has been quiet. Maybe you've been doing really well. And suddenly they come back and now you're questioning everything. I need, you must remember. You don't have to make a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion. Our feelings and emotions change like the wind. You don't have to answer immediately. You don't. You don't have to meet them. You ain't gotta explain nothing to them. Okay? Give yourself space Talk to someone safe. Journal. Pray. If that's a part of your life, which I hope it is on some level, speak with a qualified counselor or therapist if you need additional support. But look at the pattern. Then make your decision from clarity, not from the emotional rush of seeing our name appear on your phone. Oh my God. Take pause, okay? And if you're dealing with threats, stalking, violence, or if you're concerned about your safety, this goes beyond ordinary relationship advice. Please seek appropriate professional or local support and prioritize your safety. If you're indeed ready to get away, please leave me a message. And you know what? I'm gonna leave my email below because I have resources that can assist you. So I want to leave you with this. Access to you is a privilege. Everybody does not deserve it or have the right. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. Your peace is valuable. And somebody having history with you does not automatically give them unlimited access to you or your future. You are allowed to love somebody and still choose that distance. You are allowed to miss somebody and still maintain the boundary. You are allowed to remember all the good times you won't and still acknowledge the unhealthy ones. You are allowed to wish somebody well without inviting them back into your life. Okay? You can do all of those things by keeping them where they belong, away from you. And most importantly, you are allowed to choose yourself. I don't know why people think that they're supposed to put other people ahead of themselves, but I need y'all to understand that you have full permission to choose you. So thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you heard yourself somewhere in this episode, share it with somebody you may know who needed to. I want you to do something else this week, though. Go back to those reflection questions, exercises, and write your answers down. Don't just think about them. I don't think I said that in the other episodes. I need y'all to really write. That's why I say get your pen, your journal, and your pen. Write it down. Because when you begin identifying patterns, you also begin recognizing where you have the power to make different choices. This is your life. And if you're looking for people who understand this journey, I want you to come join my community, okay? We're not gathering together just to keep talking about what somebody did to us. We're learning how to move forward. We're becoming aware. We're learning boundaries. We're learning how to navigate difficult relationships. We're learning how to heal. And we're learning how to become the person we want to be in a relationship with first. I kept hearing people say, you got to become the wife. You want to be a wife, you want a husband, you got to become her first. And I'm like, but I'm not about to be a wife before I get offered to be a wife. You know what I mean? So before you go, remember this. A text message is not evidence of transformation. Missing you is not the same as being capable of loving you in a healthy way. And somebody knocking on the door doesn't mean you gotta open it. Protect your peace. Trust the patterns you've already seen. Keep doing the work. Keep healing. And most importantly, keep choosing you. No matter what. I'm not pro fuck them kids, but even if you gotta say that every now and again to pour into you, do that. So next time, remember you are guided, you are protected, and you are safe. See you next time.